So in this lesson, in lesson number 5, we will be discussing about stability and steady state error of the control system. So far we have understood how to develop the transfer function, and from the transfer function we can calculate the number of poles and number of zeros. Okay, so we are going to talk a little bit more about around that concept, around poles and zeros. Okay, and discuss how we can identify the or yeah how we can identify the stability of our system. So just to remind you that the response of a stable system, it has two parts. You have the initial transient state, right? You have the initial transient part where your output is changing according to the input. Okay, and then you have the steady state part where your output, it is stable with respect to time. So why I am highlighting this again? Because um, you have to wait for a certain period of time for your control system to get stable, right? Or to produce a stable output. You can't just plug in your control system and start expecting a stable output. You have to wait for, let's say in this example, we have to wait for maybe 3 seconds or something like that. Okay. Only after those 3 seconds, you will start getting a stable output. So the initial part of any control system, whether it is stable, unstable, or any control system, you will have some transient state where your output is gradually rising according to the input. And after this transient state, your output will become stable. So that we call as steady state part. Okay, right. So coming back to the concept of poles and zeros. So from the transfer function, we can calculate the poles and zero. We discussed that in the last class, right? So if all the poles, they lie on the left hand side of your S-plane. So just to remind you, S-plane is simply your XY plot, or your XY plot, where your x-axis, it represents your real, and the y-axis, it represents your imaginary, right? So this will be positive real axis, this will be positive imaginary axis, this will be negative imaginary axis, and this side you will have negative real. Okay, like that. So if all the poles of my system, they are on the left hand side, so left hand side means this side. Okay, so if all the poles, they are on the left hand side of my S plane or pole zero plot, so either you call it S plane or we call it as pole zero plot. Okay, so if they are on the left hand side, then my system will be stable. However, if you have one of the pole or any of these poles, let's say we have 3 poles here, which I have put or which I have marked by a cross, a blue cross. Okay, so let's say if any of these poles, they move on to the right hand side. Okay, like that. All the other poles, they are here, like that. Just one pole, it moved to the right hand side. Then my system will become unstable, right? So if one or any or all the poles, they are on the right hand side of the S-plane, my system will be unstable. If any one of the pole is also on the right hand side, systems become unstable. Okay, so right hand side means positive value. If upon calculating your poles, if the value they come out to be positive values, then you will have an unstable system. And left hand side means negative value. So if your values of the pole, they are negative, right? That means if all the poles they have a negative value, that means your system will be stable. And the middle condition, if the poles they are on the imaginary axis, okay, maybe if the pole is something like here, like this, right? So two poles they are on the imaginary axis, then we say that our system will be marginally stable. So marginally stable means neither stable nor unstable. Okay, middle condition. So this is my stable system. This is if one or any of the poles they move onto the right hand side, then my system becomes unstable. And if they are on the imaginary axis, then it is called as marginally stable. That means neither stable nor unstable. Okay. Now let's try and understand that based on some examples here. Okay. So in this example, in the first example, I have taken a stable system with step input. So the transfer function or the forward path gain of my system is 3 divided by s multiplied by s plus 1 multiplied by s plus 2. Okay. And I am applying a step input. So step input in S domain, it is given by 1 divided by S. So I am applying a step input. Okay. So if you now again, if you find the value of poles, you cannot directly use this transfer function. Since this is a closed loop system, first of all, you have to find its equivalent. So just now we have discussed how we can calculate the equivalent transfer function. We will have to use this formula g1 of s divided by 1 plus g1 of s multiplied by h of s. So in this case, the value of g1, it is 3 divided by s multiplied by s plus 1 s plus 2, and the value of h of s, it is 1 in this case. Okay, so you can use this formula directly. Okay, just replace h of s by 1 and G1 by this. So you will get G of S, that is your equivalent transfer function, and from that equivalent transfer function you can find the value of poles. Okay, not from G1. You cannot use G1 to calculate your poles. Okay, so if you do that, we will end up getting 3 poles for our system. One of the pole will be at S equals to minus 2.672. The next pole will be at minus 0.164 minus J 1.047, like that, and another one will be plus J 1.047. So you'll end up getting 3 poles. Okay, and if we plot them on a S-plane or a pole zero plot, so we use multiple words, or we use S-plane or pole zero plot. They are essentially the same thing. Okay, so if you plot them on a S-plane or a pole zero plot, what we see is the location of these poles. They are all on the left hand side, right? Or we have seen that the value of poles, they are all negative. So in this case, my system will be stable, and this would be your expected output. So initially you may have some overshoot followed by some accelerations, but then after some time your output will become stable and it will be steady around your desired output. Okay. Now, in the next example here, what I have done is I have used similar transfer function. Just in the previous case, in the numerator, I had a different value. I had 3 in the previous case. Denominator is the same, s plus 2, s plus 1, s plus 2. Okay. Here, denominator is the same. I have just changed the numerator value from 3 to 7. Okay. So again, if you calculate the equivalent or the overall gain or the equivalent transfer function G of S, okay, for this closed loop system, and then using this G of S, if you calculate the value of poles, you will again get 3 poles. But this time what we see is that 2 of the poles, they will be on the right hand side, right? One of the pole is negative, it is minus 3.087, but the other 2 poles, they have a positive value or they are on the right hand side of the S-plane. So that makes my system unstable. And for an unstable system, you would have your output which is continuously accelerating and your accelerations will increase. Okay, that is, your output will never get stable around a value. There will be always accelerations, right? So that makes my system unstable. So if you have poles on the right hand side, your system is going to be unstable, and this is your expected output which you can expect from your system. Now, marginally stable. So again, I have taken the same transfer function or the forward path gain, and just instead of 7, I have now replaced it by 6 in the numerator. Okay, rest everything is same. So again, if you calculate g of s, the equivalent transfer function, and calculate the pole, what you will see is you will have one negative pole at -3, right? So -3 is here, and this is the 0. Okay, so I put a cross over here. And you will have two poles which are on the imaginary axis. That means the real part is 0. That is, you will have, I will write down the value of poles. So the poles which you will get for this system is -3 and 0 plus j 1.4 and 0 minus j 1.4, or you can simply write it as plus j 1.4 and this one as minus j 1.4, like that. Okay, so you got these two poles which are on the imaginary axis, and imaginary axis, they will lie somewhere here, like that. Okay, so as I mentioned that if my poles, they are on the imaginary axis, my system will be marginally stable. So marginally stable, that means neither stable nor unstable. So in the case of stable system, what we saw was that our accelerations, they were gradually reducing, and my output, it was becoming constant, or it was becoming stable around my desired value. In the case of unstable system, what we saw was that my output or the accelerations, they were increasing, right? So marginally stable, in that case, what will happen is your output will neither get stable, that means it will not, your acceleration will not reduce, and nor will your acceleration increase. You will have continuous acceleration around the fixed value. Okay, so as you can observe in this figure, so you have continuous acceleration around a fixed value. Okay, so between, let's say, 1.9 plus 1.9 and minus 1.9, you will have continuous oscillations. Your oscillations will neither reduce nor it will increase, right? So this is your marginally stable system. Okay, now we will try and understand or discuss a little about steady state error. So we have discussed about stability. So in that we concluded that if all the poles, they lie on the left hand side, my system is stable. If any of the poles, they move on the right hand side of the S-plane, they become unstable. And if the poles, they lie on the imaginary axis, your system will be marginally stable. So we have kind of discussed about the stability of our system. Now let's talk about the steady state error, right? So for that, we will consider three test waveform. We will try and understand the outputs for three different inputs. Okay, we will consider step input where your in Laplace domain or in S domain it is given by 1 over S. We will consider ramp input where your uh, input in S domain it is 1 over S square, and we will consider parabola where your input in S domain it is given by 1 over S cube or S to the power 3. Okay, we'll try and analyze the outputs for these three inputs. So let's see. Let's take step input first. So step input, I have put three outputs, sorry, two outputs for step input, right? Your input is this one. Okay, it is stable. It rises at t equals to 0 and it is stable. That is my input. Now output 1. So in the initial phase, you have some difference between your output and input. That means you may have some error. But until this point, I would say my system is in transient state. Okay. So until this point, my system is in transient, and then I will have steady state. Okay. So after this transient part, in the steady state part, my input is sorry, my output is equal to the input. That means there is no error or no steady state error. So for output 1, I would say my steady state error is 0. Okay, and my system will be stable. Yeah, because the error it reduces to 0. So in the stable system, something like this happens. Your oscillations they will reduce, and there will be no error, I could say, right? So I would say output 1, for output 1, my steady state error is 0 and my system will be stable. Okay. Now for output 2, again in the transient state you have some error, but if we continue for with output 2 after some time or in steady state part, what we see is that we have an error E2, and this error will be constant throughout the time, right? Even at t equals to infinite, you will have same error, right? Let's say time is infinite or maybe 10 hours, 20 hours, 24 hours, very long time. Okay, so even after very long time, my error is the same, E2, right? So that is why I have mentioned E2 infinite. That is at t equals to infinity, the error will be the same. Okay, so if I relate back to the marginally stable, so in the case of marginally stable, I had fixed acceleration around the fixed value. That means my error, it was neither reducing nor it was increasing. Okay, it was stable, it was constant. So output 2, in this case, I will have a fixed steady state error and it will be E2 infinite. And in this case, my system will be marginally stable. Marginally stable. Because my output or my error is neither decreasing nor it is increasing. It is constant, E2. Okay. Now, let's take the different types of output for ramp input. Okay. So for ramp input, my ramp input is this one. Okay. This is my input. Let's talk about output 2. So output 2 in the initial or in the transient state, there is some difference. Okay, but gradually if I follow output 2, it reduces, or it kind of, at this point, my input and output, they are same, right? That is, there is no error. So for output 1, my steady state error is 0. Okay, that means initially there was some oscillation, or my error, it was there, but then gradually it reduces. So output 1, if the steady state error is 0, my system will be stable. Similarly, let's talk about output 2. So output 2 also, they start from the same point, and if I follow output 2, at this point I will have some constant error, E2. Okay, so this error is neither reducing nor it is increasing. So output 2, I will have a constant steady state error, which is E2 infinite. And in that case, that means my error is neither increasing nor it is decreasing. That means my system will be marginally stable. Okay, that's your output 2. Now output 3, let's see. So output 3 is this one. Now if you look at the trend of output 3, it is increasing. Yeah, it will keep on increasing. So if my input is, it goes something like this, my output, it will keep on increasing, right? So output 3, it will have a steady state error will increase with time. Okay, that means the error is increasing with time. That is, my system will be unstable. Okay. Now let's talk about the steady state error for unity gain feedback system. Unity gain feedback, that means in the feedback your gain is 1. That is, you are simply connecting your output back into input. Okay. So for this type of system, or for unity gain feedback system, we can use feedback. Your feedback h of s is 1, and we can use the equation or the formula for the uh, closed loop system and just replace h of s by 1. So if I modify my closed loop system, the equation for the closed loop system, I will get this. So the equivalent of the unity gain feedback system equivalent transfer function, it will be g of s divided by 1 plus g of s, because h of s is 1. Okay, and your transfer function is obviously your output in s domain divided by your input in s domain. So from this relation here, if I calculate the output, so output C of S, it will be simply multiplication of R of S by this equation or this formula here. Okay, so R of S multiplied by G of S divided by 1 plus G of S, like that. So this is my output. My input is R of S. And if I have to calculate the error signal, so error signal we can calculate by subtracting my input from the output. Input minus output. So input is R of S and your output is C of S. So C of S I have already kind of calculated here. So if I do R of S minus C of S is this. So I will have R of S multiplied by G of S divided by 1 plus G of S, right? So this will be my error. And if I solve this part, I will get equation number 3 here. So my error after calculation, it comes out to be R of S divided by 1 plus G of S. Okay. Now, since we usually prefer to calculate the error after some time, because in the initial part of my output, it will be in the transient state, right? Your output for the initial part, this is your transient state, and then you have steady state, right? So we prefer to calculate at t equal tending to infinity or t equals to infinite after some time, after sufficient time, right? So we will apply final value theorem here. Okay, so final value theorem, it will help me to calculate the value of function at t equals to infinite. So final value theorem, it says that any function at t equals to infinite is equal to limit s tending to 0. You have within the brackets, you have s multiplied by the function in s domain. S domain. Okay. So we have calculated the error in time domain. Now using final value theorem, I will find my error at t equals to infinite. So this is my error at t equals to or t tending to infinite, some very large value of time. Okay. So using final value theorem, I have already calculated E of S. So using this final value theorem, my error at infinite time will be limit s tending to 0, s multiplied by the function, the error function in s domain. And I have already calculated the error in s domain. It is s r of s divided by 1 plus gs. Okay, so my error, my steady state error, I would say, it comes out to be limit s tending to 0 s r of s divided by 1 plus gs. Okay, so I will use this formula for steady state error to calculate the error for different types of input. So I am considering three input: unit step input, ramp input, and the parabolic input. Right. So I will try and develop formulas or uh, formulas for calculating errors for step, ramp, and parabolic input using this formula. Okay, so I have developed the formula for steady state error. R of s is my input. Okay, now for a unit step input, R of s is 1 over s, right? So I will substitute that value here. So my the steady state error for step input, it comes out to be limit s tending to 0. Instead of r of s, I have replaced by 1 divided by s here. Okay, and obviously this s and this s, they will get cancelled. Simple calculation like that, and I will be left with e step, that is your steady state error for step input. It will come out to be limit s tending to 0, 1 divided by 1 plus gs. Since we do not have any s over in these two parts of the equation, I have simplified or reduced my equation and put the limit where I have a value of s. Okay, so I have modified it something like that. E step or steady state error for step input, it is 1 divided by 1 plus limit s tending to 0 g of s. Okay. Now, to demonstrate a concept here, I will take two examples. Okay. So just, it's quite simple. We are simply using the formula which we have used, which we have seen. I'm using the formula for steady state error for step input. I have already developed the formula. I'm going to use it. Okay. Now I have to calculate the steady state error for step input to a unit gain feedback system with the following transfer function, g of s, right? So for visual imagination, I have this type of a system where my feedback is unity. Okay, like that. So minus, plus, and this is my input. Sorry, c of s. So h of s is 1. It is unity here. Okay, and g of s is given. I have already developed the formula for steady state error for step input. I just have to substitute g of s in the formula, right? So simple substitution, if you calculate this limit s tending to 0 g of s separately, so I have 4 divided by s square plus 5s plus 8, and if I apply the limit s tending to 0, essentially what I do is I replace the values of s with 0. Okay, what I will get is 4 divided by 8, because this part will become 0, this part will become 0. I will be left with 4 divided by 8, that is 1 divided by 2. Okay, so I have replaced it, the value here. So 1 divided by 1 plus half, it comes out to be 2 by 3. So what we can see is we have stable output or a constant steady state error. Okay, this value. Now let's take another example, right? So the same transfer function g of s, if I add a s here like that, okay, let's see what's the effect of that. So in this example, I have taken the same transfer function, 4 divided by s square plus 5s plus 8. Just I have added a s in the denominator. I've kind of multiplied it by 1 divided by s. So what is the effect of this? Let's see. So again I have my uh, formula, right? So again let's calculate limit s tending to 0 g of s separately. Okay, so this time I have 4s s square plus 5s plus 8 like that. Okay, so if you notice, if I just replace, if I apply the limit s tending to 0 and replace this s, the first s, by 0, this is in multiplication. So the entire denominator will become 0 and I will get something like 4 divided by 0, which is uh, infinite. Yeah. So limit s tending to 0 g of s, it comes out to be infinite. And if I replace it here in the formula, e step at t equals to infinite, it will come out to be 1 divided by 1 plus infinite. If you add anything to infinity, it is infinity, right? So you will get 1 divided by infinite. And 1 divided by infinite, it is 0. Okay, so what we get, my steady state error, it becomes 0 if I add this s. Okay, so this free s term, or we call it as integrator term, right? So by using or by adding an integrator into the system, we can reduce or make our steady state error 0. Okay, for step input. Okay, let's now discuss about ramp input. How many integrators we will need to reduce our steady state error to 0 for ramp input. Let's see. So we already have the steady state error formula. So using this steady state error formula, previously I have replaced R of S with step input. Now I have ramp input. So ramp input in S domain is 1 divided by S square. So now I will replace R of S with 1 divided by S square. Okay, so again I have replaced it here, right? And if you do a little bit of calculation, you would end up getting this. formula. So steady state error for ramp input is given by this formula, which is 1 divided by limit s tending to 0 s multiplied by g of s. Now if you have no integrator, zero integrator, that means no free s term in g of s, in that case your this value limit s tending to 0 s g of s, right? If you put the limit here, you could easily observe that whatever be the value of g of s, if you put s equals to 0, your limit s tending to 0, this entire factor will become 0. Yeah. So just to highlight that. So if you have limit s tending to 0, you have s multiplied by g of s, and if I substitute this s with 0, this entire factor will become 0. That is your limit s tending to 0, s gs will become 0. That is in the steady state error formula for ramp input, the bottom line or the denominator will become 0, and 1 divided by 0 is infinity. That means if you do not have any free s term, or as we say, we do not have any integrator in the transfer function g of s, in that case my steady state error for ramp input will be infinite. Okay. Now if I have one integrator in my transfer function, okay, so let's say g of s is what we can say, maybe 1 divided by s plus 2. Okay, I have a free s term like that. So my limit s g s tending to 0, if I'm calculating this value, so s multiplied by 1 divided by s plus 2, like that. Okay, so this s will get cancelled, and if I put s equals to 0, I will get 1 divided by 0. That means this value, it will be 1 divided by 0, that is limit s tending to 0 s gs will be infinite. Okay, only this part is infinite. That means the bottom line in the formula will be infinite. So E ramp at infinite will be 1 divided by infinite, and 1 divided by infinite is uh, sorry sorry uh, essentially you will not get 1 divided by 0. If you put s equals to 0, you will get 1 divided by 2 in my, right? So that means a finite number you are getting. Okay, so your steady state error, it will be some fixed value, right? In this I made a mistake over here. If you put s equals to 0, this s and this s, they get cancelled. But if you put s equals to 0, this becomes 0. You will be left with 1 divided by 2. I made a mistake here. So basically you will get a finite number, and your error will be a fixed error. Similarly, if you have two integrators, right? So if you have two integrators, So something like if you have g of s equal to 1 divided by s square plus s plus 2. Okay. You have two free integrator terms. So in that case, my calculations, they will get modified here. So 1s, they get cancelled. So I'll have, now I will have infinite value. So I will have 1 divided by s plus 2. And if I put s equals to 0, I will get 1 divided by 0. That is the bottom line in the E ramp formula. It will be 0. It will be infinite. And finally, my error will be 0. Right? So the conclusion here is, for unit ramp input, I will need two integrators to reduce my steady state error to 0, to make my steady state error 0. In the case of unit step, I need one integrator term. Similarly, for parabolic input, again, if you do the calculation, so for steady state error, instead of R of S, or for parabolic input, the R of S is 1 over S to the power 3. I have replaced that and simplified the equation to get steady state error. Steady state error for parabolic input. Okay, so again what I have done is I have tried and tested it for different number of integrators or free s terms in g of s in your transfer function. So if you have 0 or 1 integrator in your transfer function, your parabolic or your steady state in error for parabolic input will be infinite. If you have two integrator terms, your steady state error, you will have a fixed error. And if you have three integrators term, then your steady state error for parabolic input will be 0. So to reduce your steady state error for parabolic input, you have to apply three integrators, or you should have three free s terms in the denominator of your transfer function, right? You should have something like s to the power 3 multiplied by s plus something like that. So this three integrator terms should be there to reduce your parabolic steady state error for parabolic input. Okay. Now, depending on the number of free s terms, we can have different types of system. We can have type 0 system where you do not have any free s term, right? There is no free s term. You can have type 1 system where you have single free s term or single integrator. You can have type 2 system if your transfer function, it has two free s terms, s square like that, or we call it as two integrators. Similarly, you can have type 3, type 4, type 5 and so on, right? Depending on the number of free s terms, we can classify the types of system. And so I'm trying to make a conclusion here. Okay. So we have calculated, or we have developed the formulas for steady state error, for step input, for ramp input, and for parabolic input. Okay. If or we take this portion, that is limit s tending to 0 g of s from steady state error for step input, and we call it as position constant kp. Okay. So in this case, if we are replacing it by a constant, I can modify my formula here and I can say it is 1 divided by 1 plus kp, position constant. Okay. Similarly, this portion in the ramp input, in the steady state error for ramp input, I call it as velocity constant kv. So kv is limit s tending to 0 s gs. Okay, so if I am calling it as kv, I can modify my steady state error equation. It will become 1 divided by kv. Okay, and similarly for this portion we call it as acceleration constant. Okay, ka. So ka is your limit s tending to 0 s square g of s. Okay, so again I can modify my steady state error for parabolic input as 1 divided by ka. Okay, so in the assessments or maybe in the exams, you may be asked to calculate these static error constants. Okay, so I have kind of combined all the things together and I have put it in this table, right? So I have step input, ramp input, and parabolic input. So the formula for steady state error for step input, I'm using the modified one which I just created. For step input, it is 1 divided by 1 plus kp. For ramp input, it becomes 1 divided by kv, which is your velocity constant. And for parabolic, your steady state error formula is 1 divided by ka. Right? For type 0 system, that is no free integrator system, we have discussed that this value kp, it is constant, and your steady state error, you will get some fixed value, some constant value for type 0. If you have a ramp input and it is type 0 system, the value of kv will be 0 and your error will be infinite. Right? So like that I have developed, I've tried to summarize all the things in this table. If you have a type 1 system with one free integrator, you will have 0 error um, for step input and some constant error for ramp input and infinite error for parabolic, like that. Okay, so I mean up to type 2 system is okay. We have it here. Okay, so now let's quickly go through this example here. So a system with unity gain feedback has a forward transfer function g of s, which is given here. And I have to find the steady state error for step input. So for step input, and step input r of t, and it is not unity, its magnitude is 4. Okay, 4 multiplied by u of t. So its initial magnitude is 4. Similarly, ramp input, it is 4 t ut, like that. They are given. So I have to calculate the steady state error and all. Right. So let's take the first part. So my step input is 4 ut. It is given. Right. And in S domain, or if you take the Laplace transform, because we have to use the Laplace, and in Laplace transform, your input will be 4 divided by S. For unit step, sorry, I should write it here. For unit step, your R of S is 1 divided by S. But here you have your magnitude is 4. So it will be 4 divided by S. Okay. I have the formula for steady state error. I have already discussed that. And here I am going to replace my input R of S. So if I replace R of S by 4 divided by S, and G of S is also given. Okay, so I just substitute those values here. G of S and R of S. Okay, so and try to reduce it, you would end up getting 4 divided by 1. Right, so after reducing, I have applied the limits here. So if you put S equals to 0, so this term will get 0, it will become 0, this will become 0, this will become 0. So you will be left with 4 divided by 1 plus 15 divided by 24. Okay, and if we calculate this value, it will come out to be this fraction, or again you can calculate the exact value in decimal. It comes out to be 0.154. That means for the input which we were given, we will get a constant steady state error. Okay. Similarly, part B. So we are given with this ramp input R of t. And again its magnitude is 4 t u of t. So for unit ramp input, it is 1 over s square. Now the magnitude is 4, so it will become 4 divided by s square. Okay. Again we know the formula for steady state error. I will just replace R of s by 4s square, and G of s is also given. Substitute all the values in the given formula, and then same thing, apply the limits. So after substitution and little bit of simplification, I'll end up getting this value here. And if I replace, or if I apply the limit, this term will get 0, this will become 0, or essentially you have a s over here. So in the denominator, everything will become 0. 0 multiplied by anything is 0. Right? So I will get 4 divided by 0. That is infinite. So for the given ramp input, I will have steady state error to be infinite. That is, error keeps on increasing. Unstable system. Okay. Right. So this is all. These are the tutorial questions. Again, I think I will leave it up to you to practice these questions. Okay. So section 5, you have to practice some questions from section 5 in the tutorial sheet as well as the multiple choice questions. There is some MATLAB exercise as well in section 5. So you can try them out, and if you have any problems, you can let me know and maybe we can discuss it in the next class. Okay.